Today is the first day for the rest of your life. I think it's kind of an important way of thinking about things. What that means is that what you do today, what you begin today, sets you up for where you're going to be weeks, months, years later. And this is the thing I see with myself and with other people is if you want to do something, you should just start today and start wrong, start bad, do it wrong, and start wrong, but don't wait to do it perfect, but start like today, and then just begin today. And then if it's something that you want to get better at or you want to start doing, or you have like you've always wanted to do this dance or something like that, start very small, but start as soon as possible. Start today, and whatever you do today sets you up for the future. So if your life like right now is not perfect for whatever reason, I think no one's life is, you have all kinds of problems and stuff and all kinds of things going wrong, it's still better to just start today. Because if you start today and you build a habit of what you're doing and you do it a couple times a week, or maybe it's something small that you can do every day, inevitably you'll get better at it. Even if everything in your life is going wrong, even if you have no money, or your relationships are off, or things are going wrong, I highly believe, and my opinion on this might change later, but as far as right now, I no, in general, I really highly believe that it's important to just keep doing it. Like, even if everything in your life is going wrong, you just still keep showing up, and during those times you can do less or just be consistent, but maybe your content isn't always as good, or whatever you're working on isn't as good, but you still show up. Just like how someone who trains or works out, like once they begin, they make sure that they do 3 or 4 days a week, or however many days a week, and do that consistently for years. That's what gets you better. The most important thing is to start today, and if you have something that you really want to do, start now, start today, and do it now. um, it's always better to kind of just do it now than because there's never really a perfect time, but like the sooner you do it, the sooner it sets you up for success. Just quickly too, another way that I like to think of this is that in terms of risk reward. So I've learned that you want to take a lot of like risks, quote unquote risks, which aren't real risks. These are risks where there's a huge upside, moderate to huge upside, and no downside, you know? Examples of this are, but these are things that, like, starting today would be an example of this. Doing 3 YouTube videos a week, or going to start to learn to dance and going to dance class a couple times a week, working out a couple times a week, or starting to like have like a healthy meal like every day or something. Like, these are things that you can introduce into your schedule or your daily life, that would have huge upside and little to no downside, you know? But these are what you call quote unquote risks that aren't really risks. They're like moderate to high upside and no downside risks. And I highly believe in these because it's kind of like what leads to people being successful or not. Just in general, people are willing to work insanely hard, really hard, and do things that are difficult, like extremely difficult. Most people working a job, I've worked jobs. Right now I'm not, but in the future I might too. In general, you work a lot more doing a job than you do if you have your own business. Training too, with working out, maybe a lot of people work harder than they should, or like some of the most successful people don't work that hard. But the thing is, like, when people talk about working smart, you know, they say, oh, you want to work smart and not hard. Well, what working smart entails is taking these risks, which are big upside and little to no downside, basically zero downside, and you either win or you break even. And life is about taking like risks like that. I think that's extremely important. And what if you want to get better at something, you do it a couple times a week and you start now, that's something that is a upside and zero downside and a little bit to massive upside, especially over time, type of risk. A good example of this is that, like, talking to pretty girls, approaching pretty girls, you know, like if you see someone that you're attracted to, you should kind of you can not think and just like go and talk to them, and it's like painful. But then, and again, my channel isn't about this too much, but this is something I like studying too. But it's painful. Maybe you get rejected a few times, but consistently, the guys that like bang the most girls, or have the prettiest girlfriends, or just like do the best with women, they tend to be the guys that get rejected the most. But they go for these bets because once you do it and once you're comfortable doing it, it's literally the easiest thing in the world, because at that point it is very much a upside, like medium to high upside and zero downside, you know. Literally zero downside. So that's like, oh, like you see a pretty girl, go talk to her. Like, have it go wrong, or have it work out a lot of the time, because yeah, maybe you do it 1 time, 10 times, 20 times, and let's say you're horrible with girls, you keep getting rejected. But once you do it, like if you talk to like one new girl like that a day, one pretty girl like that a day, by the time you've talked to your 30th girl or 40th girl, you'd be okay, you'd be decent. By the time you get to 50, 60, you're like pretty decent. And then do it for like a couple months, like 2 months, not very long at all, and you will start to get pretty good, you know. And that's how you get results, is by taking these type of like high upside, moderate to high upside, and zero downside types of risks. What else could I say? Life is really about that. It's about doing these things that you're afraid of and that are challenging, but that are like, lately I've been really trying to do risk reward about everything. That like, if it's moderate to high reward and little to no risk, go and do it, because those are the things that most people won't do, you know. If you're struggling to make money, you can do this. I've done this, my friends have done this. Like, you can go to the freaking 99-cent store, you can buy a 24 pack of water bottles, you can buy a thing of ice. It'll cost like $5, $7, $10. You can go sell that at the beach. Sell those water bottles for $2. That's supply and demand, and you make like $50. So there, you made like $40. Then the second day, you can fill up your cooler with twice as many water bottles, and you go and you make $100 in a day. You know, and these are things that literally everyone can do, but no one wants to go and take risks that are that feel uncomfortable and feel tough, but that are really moderate to high upside and zero downside, literally zero downside. But people don't think about it this way, and it's like human nature and human psychology kind of hold people back from going and doing these things. And the thing is, even if you're a person who takes risks, quote unquote risks, or like goes for things like this, your own human nature will hold you back too. And that's why it's so important to start today, and start small, but start today, and do it semi-regularly, because then you build a habit and it becomes something that you naturally do. So yeah, I could talk a lot more about that, about this topic, and you get better at it over time. And there's always things in my life, like I always identify that, like, okay, this is something that like I'm afraid of that I'm not doing, or this is something that, hey, like, why am I doing it this way? Like, I should try this. There are always like things that I'm afraid of or that are uncomfortable, but that I do the risk reward, and those are things that are like, there's massive returns, and it can improve my life in so many ways. But I just don't do it, maybe because I don't have the habit, or like the practice of doing it, you know, or I haven't gone and done it. But then if I do the risk reward and I see that, oh, like there's zero risk, like, yeah, go talk to that pretty girl, nothing's gonna happen. Like, if she'll reject you, she'll reject you. Once you've done it 20 times, it doesn't matter. Like, it's almost funny, and it's true, the guys that get the most girls get rejected the most. But there's a statistic that says, and it is true, that like less than 5% of the guys bang 90% of the girls, like 90% or more. So what does that signify? You know, it's that and again, like whether however you ethically feel about that, I guess, but like it's for the analogy's sake, you know, that there are people that go for it and there are people that don't. The richest people, the smartest people, the strongest people, they're lazy a lot of the time. They work less hard than people. And I work a lot less hard now than I did a year ago, than I did 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But working hard, yeah, you should be able to work hard, but a huge part of it is going for these risks and going for these things that are little to no little to no downside, little to no risk, but high upside, you know? And there are things that people are afraid of doing that are uncomfortable to do, and that you face a lot of inner resistance, but you gotta just shut your brain off, stop thinking, and you go and do it. And that's how you get results. So yeah, today is the day that starts the rest of your life. Taking action today, going and doing that thing that you wanted to do just today, and maybe doing it a couple of times a week, doing it wrong, doing it just a tiny bit, but getting better at it over time just by beginning and doing it, and just having it be some like small thing that you do. So start today. Yeah, so that's kind of just some thoughts I have on that topic.